This first piece is called This Dangerous Business of Hope. With each breath I take into my lungs, when you rise from your bed each morning, when I trust my feet to follow one another in some forward motion, when you open your front door each day to abandon the sanctuary of home, we are both dealing in this dangerous business of hope. When you write letters to your son, believing he will remember your love even if your face becomes a blank. When I promise to be the one he can make 2 a.m. phone calls to and attend his darkest hours in the way I did yours, we are both dealing in this dangerous business of hope. When you hold my hand at her funeral, allowing my sorrow to travel into your arms as well. When I lay my banquet of fears before you and wait to see if you walk away from the table, we are both dealing in this dangerous business of hope. When I gather these scraps of memories and attempt to weave them into something beautiful, when you layer your heartbreak in cloudy smudges of paint until the canvas is thick with dreams, we are both dealing in this dangerous business of hope. When I keep posing the questions to a God who may be deaf or mute or dead, when you keep finding her in your dreams, but can't quite make that connection in this waking life, we are both dealing in this dangerous business of hope. When I keep chronicling all the lives that have intertwined with mine, following the thread that loops its way through all our traveling souls, when you defy the silence by coaxing some moment of beauty from the smoothness of slender keys rising to meet your fingertips, we are both dealing in this dangerous business of hope. When every doubt casts the shadow of a dream, and every dreamer must embrace the shadows to discover the light that casts them, we are all dealing in this dangerous business of hope. So tonight's show is called Dreamers and Doubters, and you're going to be meeting a cast of characters, some of them from my life, all of them from my life, some of them me. I'm not going to tell you which ones. And maybe by the end of the evening, you'll be asking yourself the question, am I a dreamer or a doubter? Or maybe you're a doubter with a few dreams, or maybe a dreamer with some big doubts. I don't know. This next piece is called Mary the Dreamer, spelled like Marie. Mary the Dreamer, spelled like Marie, entered our hotel in a flourish of grand proclamations and nervous tics. She was traveling incognito, she claimed, and only speaking in a thick French accent would keep her identity a secret. She was on the run from a plotting and treacherous ex-husband, a villain of comic book proportions. The exact nature of his sins was never confessed, only implied. She then dismissed her taxi with a small wave, like a queen dismissing her subjects, and we would all soon become inhabitants of her magical empire. You see, Mary had dreams of being a freelance water ballerina, and she was going to use our pool as her home base. She worked to hone her skills among battalions of screaming children on summer vacation, lapping closed-eyed shouts of Marco and Polo. She chatted animatedly with confused children, until worried mothers yanked them dripping from the deep end. Mary was 40 years and 60 pounds too late to transform herself into the water sprite she carried around in her head. Mary wore wraparound skirts that didn't quite wrap all the way around her solid hips. In the long afternoons when the hotel bar was sparsely populated, she would grind those hips in indiscernible rhythm to all the classic rock songs on the jukebox. She wore a silk flower on a ribbon tied around her neck. She laughed loudly at her own private jokes. She swirled the gin in her glass seductively, blew kisses at anyone who caught her eye, and winked at businessmen who quickly pressed cell phones to ears to answer never-received calls. Mary applied for a job in our restaurant with qualifications that made her seem like a combination of Julia Child, James Bond, and Shirley Temple. We all had a good laugh, courting the absurdity of it all with a wicked devotion. But when the regulars in the hotel bar made one too many complaints about her daily performances, I was given the duty of escorting her back to her room and encouraging a more circumspect way of behaving. You see, the freelance water ballerina gig wasn't quite working out as she planned. I told her it sometimes takes a while to get the results you want, and maybe her dreams and realities would never fit together neatly. I said, I wanted to be a rock star when I was 15. She shouted and laughed. Then why don't you be a goddamn rock star before closing the door into her own world of longing and making? A week passed before one of the waitresses recognized her as the mother of a high school friend. The son was called home from some Middle Eastern hellhole to reign in her madness and remold it into a more socially acceptable form of eccentricity. They gathered her pink camouflage pants, billowy green blouses, and strappy yellow pumps, and packed them away with her polka-dotted swimsuits and fantasies of fame and fortune. But Mary, the dreamer, spelled like Marie, insisted on the validity of her dreams. She defended them like the primal mother of threatened cubs, and what was wild in her trembling lips tore at my heart. An uncaged beast of loss and longing, and in her eyes were all the unwritten books and unpainted canvases languishing in my own head like long-term guests of some roach motel of excuses. Just before they escorted her into the parking lot, I took her hand and I said, "Mary, the dreamer spelled like Marie. I'm gonna be a goddamn